Hi everybody, my name's Ollie. Welcome to another edition of The Watch Collector. Today we're going to have a look at Felipe Pikullik, a brand that I've already reviewed, and I was particularly impressed with their Sternenhimmel, with this so-called aventurine dial. Today we're going to look at a different model, but before we do, we have the obligatory wristwatch check, and today I'm wearing the Czapek Antarctique in salmon. So as mentioned, Felipe Pikullik, this is a young German watchmaker, and the model we have here is the Homage to Harrison. Harrison, as some of you may, I'm sure, already know, John Harrison, was a pioneering English watchmaker in the 18th century, responsible for models from the H1 through to the H4. And one of the biggest issues facing those in the maritime sector in that period in history was working out where ships were compared to the longitudinal calculations on the sea. And so what the government actually did is they looked to reward watchmakers in an effort to try and solve this problem with what's called the Longitudinal Act. John Harrison was at the forefront of this, and that's really why he achieved the kind of the cult status that he has today. Some of you may also remember the episode of Only Fools and Horses when Dell and Rodney find the Harrison lesser watch in their garage. They go on to become millionaires and lose it all. And of course, that's somewhat semi-mythical, that watch. But anyway, that's the legend that is John Harrison and why Felipe Pikullik has chosen to create an homage to him. It's a 41mm case in stainless steel with a really rather lovely matte grey dial. I love the fact that he's used Breguet numerals. It gives a sensuality, I think, to them. And with the seconds at 6 o'clock, it's a very simple dial, but because it does have, for example, the track around the outside, because you do have these really rather lovely finished hands, it's intriguing without being overcomplicated. And now, as we've come to expect with Pikullik, the finishing is excellent. Now, bearing in mind this is stainless steel, it really does look like it could be white gold with the way that it's brushed and polished, finished on the bezel and the side of the case. And hopefully that's coming through. The stepped lugs are lovely, and you can, even though you can see the join, actually what that does is it provides sort of an angularity to it, which I think actually really works quite well. With Pikullik, the star of the show is the finishing of the movement. So as before, this is an ETA 6498 movement. Now, some of you may say, well, he's just taking a standard movement and shoving it in his watch. Well, actually, probably couldn't be further from the truth. Look at the way that has been taken apart, every single piece, and with some in-house modification, or considerable in-house modification, put back together to create what is absolutely superb, and something that you would expect to see on a far more expensive watch than you would at this price point. Now, of course, this is not cheap, about £15,000 or so, including VAT. But you're getting something that is really, truly rather special, particularly when you flip it over. So without further ado, let's put it back on and let's see how it wears on the wrist. Now the strap is lovely, it's calf, it's very soft. I wonder how that will wear over time, particularly bearing in mind this is a pin buckle, but it feels extremely supple and very nice on the wrist. And I think actually it's really what you would expect from Felipe Pikullik. It's very elegant, wears nicely. Immediately you can probably see that it comes straight under the cuff, so you can easily wear this as a dress watch. It's light, but still has some presence to it so that you know it's there. And actually every time you look down, because the way that the numerals and the track around the outside and the hands are brushed, it catches the light really nicely. And I never used to be a fan of monochromatic watches, all one color. But actually I'm starting to really fall in love with them. And this is another example of that. It's really quite an elegant solution to an entry, I think, into autorology without having to pay for the fully or rather pay for the full amount for what you would sort of have to fork out if you were to go to, say, one of the big boys for their own in-house movements. To get this level of finishing, this level of assembly, and overall elegance, I think it's quite difficult to beat Pikullik. I think he's doing an absolutely amazing job. One other thing, of course, I mentioned about the pin buckle, but I think it's at this price point, I suppose a pin buckle is in my view acceptable. I know you think this is a bugbear of mine, but I think overall it has a very nice feel about it. It definitely feels every pound of the money that it costs, and actually I'm really rather taken with it, just as I was with the Stern & Himmel. I'd love to know what you think. That's the Felipe Pikullik Homage to Harrison in stainless steel. Thanks so much. See you next time.